Good afternoon, everybody. Well, this is good evening, good night, depending on where you are joining us from. And it's really a great opportunity I have to be here with you today on this webinar. And I've been looking forward to this day. I've been planning this for the past 3 months or so. And today is day one of the pre-conference webinar series, and I'm excited to be sharing some lessons and some tips with you on how to improve your leadership skills and your influence, and also your communication skills, and to say your connecting skills. So I'm really happy and excited to be spending the next 30 minutes with you to talk about a topic that, again, I think is very important to program managers and project managers, and I think it's top of the mind for everybody at this point. And so, before I get started, really, I'm going to ask this question, and you can feel free to type your comments in the chat box. But really, who doesn't want to project manage a high-performance team? Right? A team where every member of that team is motivated to produce better and quality results. If you think about it, you'll find that 99% of most project managers would want to manage a high-performance team. Now, what if every member of your team was highly motivated to deliver results? How would that affect you as the leader of the team? And think about it. How would that affect you as the leader of the team? The results that you get as a team, how would that affect you? And when we project manage, we always think about how we deliver the products, the deliverables that we have to get our clients to sign off on, making sure that it was done to requirement, on the budget, all the constraints that a project manager has to live by. But really, in the end, whose responsibility is it to make sure that all the right conditions are in place to actually have better quality results, to have that high-performance team? And so today really is the introduction to this series that is going to last just about 2 months, and it will culminate into a live seminar right here in New York City. But I will also put on a 5 to 7 week webinar and workshop, virtual workshop, going through content I think is going to just raise your leadership effectiveness to a higher level. But this tonight again is a beginning to that, and I hope you came in with an open heart. You're ready to learn, and some of the things I say tonight you might have already known, but some of the things that I'll be saying you'll hear them in a different context. And so keep an open heart, and if I'm challenging any way of thinking that you abide by tonight, just see it as a way, as you being in a position to grow. And so really just a little bit about me. I've been working as a management consultant for the past 12 plus years for clients such as JP Morgan Chase, Bank of New York Mellon, and several other Fortune 500 companies, and also New York City Mayor's Office, civil projects there. I'm also a certified project manager with PMI and a certified John Maxwell trainer, speaker, and coach. You can go take a look on my website on this recording after we're done, just so you can learn a little bit more about me. But I just want to get started tonight in sharing some of the insights that I do want you to get out of tonight's session. So my goal tonight really is to raise awareness, share practical insight that you can start applying right away. And we'll also explore the 4 dimensions because I believe this is key to having a project team that perform at a high level. And yes, you can feel free to quote anything that you hear on this webinar tonight on social media, Twitter. My Twitter handle is at the bottom of your screen right now, so feel free to do that. Okay, so let's get started with this quote, which I think speaks volume to our job as project managers. And Michael Clark said this: today's project managers are dazzled by the ability of software to beautify and present their plans in so many ways that they lose sight of their primary responsibility, and that is to lead. I hope you really take this in, because many project managers, when they get hired, all they think about is, I need to put the plan together. I need to put it in the Microsoft Project or whatever tool that they're using to track and develop the project plan. But then they forget the primary responsibility as the project manager is to lead the team. And so they tend to sit behind the computer all day and not do much. And so really, our goal as project managers is to deliver results or to make them better. Right? We need to improve our results as project managers. I can't think of any project manager who does not want to improve results. And frankly, as project managers, we are under such pressure to produce more with less. We have to start working smarter as opposed to working harder. I mean, because we're getting more responsibility and we're being asked to deliver more and better results while the resources that we have are not enough to get the job done. See, you know what I'm talking about. And I mean, one of the challenges that we all face is we go to work, the teams are not motivated to work and do and perform at a high level, and so we as the team leaders, project managers, we tend to work a lot harder ourselves to deliver results. But what ends up happening is we tend to lose our sanity over it. Man, I'm sure you'll agree that too much stress is not good for your health and your relationships. And so my goal tonight is to help you through that and help you understand. But really, we wish we had more time and more money every time we're working on projects to do things. But the important thing, as I said earlier, is the sanity piece, right? We want to do all of this within that set time frame and with that amount of money that's been allocated for the project while keeping our lifestyle. I mean, I don't know who can say they have a lifestyle when they go to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning and leave at 8, 9 o'clock at night. I don't know what kind of lifestyle that is, but to me, that is not a lifestyle I would subscribe to. So if that's an idea of lifestyle, then great for you, right? If that's your idea of lifestyle. But I'm sure most of you want to spend time doing things that rejuvenate you outside of work. And so that's why I'm putting this together, this webinar series. So, because project managers are working so much harder, putting so much more hours at work, in the end what ends up happening is the results they're getting are not matching the effort they put in. And in the end, their families end up paying for it. Right? They keep missing the important events in their families, the growth milestones of their children, and putting stress on the relationships that matters to them. I mean, not too long ago, I believe it was 2010, my wife pointed out something to me, and I was shocked that she could actually see it, because she told me that you're really stressed out. I think this job is really stressing you out. And it was the first time she ever said that to me. And I know it was, but the fact that she could actually see it, that means it was affecting how I related to her. And so the minute you start seeing the stress at work affecting your family, then it's probably time to make a change. And so before we go further, though, I also want to cover this, and I think you'll agree with me with this definition of project management. Project management is about delivering results to people. And let me say it again. Project management is about delivering results to people. Right? You could use the processes, you use the systems, but you need to deliver to people. And sadly, many project managers, they fail to do that because they can inspire performance in others. And so the friction and the frustration that we experience as project managers and project leaders comes down to one thing, right? It's how we as leaders implement the principles in the 4 dimensions of a high-performance team. I mean, you can improve your results, right? If you want to, you definitely can. But you've got to set the intention to do so. I mean, many people don't really do that. And if you don't do it for your own sanity, if you don't do it for the project or for the outcome that you would be proud of, do it for your own sanity. Because working longer hours will affect you, your health, and your family, and you do not want that. So, now, as I said earlier, everyone wants to improve results, right? The project team, the project champion, everybody, the project manager wants to improve results. Everyone in the team wants to improve results. So if the leader of the team wants to improve results, then he's thinking about the 4 dimensions and how he can use the principles and techniques within the 4 dimensions of a high-performance team to inspire performance in each team member. And if they're not aware of those principles and they don't value others, then there's a tendency to think that the way to improve results is to work harder yourself and then tell everybody else to do the same. So the leader with no understanding of the 4 dimensions work harder themselves. And then look what happens. Right? They work 20% harder or 30% harder, and what does that do to the overall effort of the team? It goes up very little, doesn't it? And really, it makes a big difference to the leader, the spouse, and the family, while it makes very little difference to anything else. And so the leader, though, who realizes that if they could just get another 10% out of everybody in the team, then it adds up to far more than they can contribute themselves, and then they don't get divorced. So project leadership, again, is delivering results to people. So, and leadership is influence. So it's really more about others and the people on the team and how we can get them to work together to influence, as opposed to just our position as project managers. And we'll cover this later on today. We, as project managers, work in matrix organizations all the time, where we don't have the formal organizational power that comes with our position of being a project manager. We don't have the functional authority over our resources most of the time. And so we have to learn to work with what we've got, which is influence. And so we have to learn to wield that skill of influence and leadership that we have. But before we get into the four dimensions, let me quickly cover this. I think is key to why more project managers don't apply the 4 dimensions of a high-performing team. Number one, I think, is the knowledge gap. Right? They don't know how. They don't know how to create this environment, if an environment where all the four dimensions are in play. But today, I'm here to tell you, don't let that lack of knowledge keep you from developing a high-performance team, because the resources are out there, right? They are there if you take the time to look for them. You just have to know they are there and be aware that you need to create that high-performance team. And then we have the timing gap, right? It's really, the timing gap says it's really not the right time to begin. I mean, American politician Frank Clark said, what great accomplishments we'd have in the world if everybody had done what they intended to do. And most people don't act as quickly as they should on things. And as a matter of fact, if you don't start applying anything we're talking about today within the next week or so, you'll find yourself subject to the law of diminishing intent, which says the longer you wait to do something you know you should do now, the greater the odds that you will never actually do it. And so you need to become intentional about creating a high-performance team and then take action. Take action today, this week. Don't wait and say, well, now is not the right time. If now is not the right time, when will it ever be the right time? Because the conditions will never be right. They'll never be 100% for you to start creating a high-performance team. And so let's move on to number 3, the perfection gap. And really that's where most people say, I have to find the best way before I start. They say, I have to find the best way to create a high-performance team before I start. But when we're presented with the idea of a high-performance team, what we often do is we go looking for the best way to do it, but we really have it backwards. Right? You'll never find the best way until you start. I mean, think about it. Right? You have to get started if you want to find the best way, and then you start adjusting along the way. It's really similar to driving on an unfamiliar road at night. Ideally, you'd like to be able to see the whole route before you begin, but you don't. Right? It just doesn't work that way. You see it progressively, and as you move forward, a little bit more of the word is revealed to you. As you move, a little bit more is revealed. As you move, a little bit more is revealed to you. And if you want to see more of the way, then what you want to do is start moving. And so tonight I'm encouraging you to start on your journey as a project manager to create high-performance teams wherever you go. And number 4 is the comparison gap, where we think, well, the other people are better than me, that's why they have high-performance teams. Well, that's a good thing. If they are better, then you can learn from them. I mean, one thing I've learned a few years ago is that there is always somebody better than you, and you're always going to be better than somebody else. So my advice is to get over it, right? Trying to compare yourself to others is useless. And so knowing that others are better than you, then that's your opportunity, that's your chance to actually learn how to create high-performance teams by learning from them. You can learn from them. So that's a great thing. So you should use that as a way, as motivation to actually do it, because others are doing it. And number 5, finally, is the expectation gap, where we say, hey, I thought it would be easier than this. Creating a high-performance team is not as easy if you don't function within the 4 dimensions. So really, me personally, I don't know of any successful people who think high performance and climbing to the top comes quickly or is easy for that matter. It just doesn't happen. People create their own luck over time. How? The formula is really, I think you may have heard this before, right? Preparation plus attitude plus opportunity plus action. Doing something about it equals success. And where most people fail is at the preparation phase. And so that's why those of you who are on this webinar tonight, I commend you for taking the time to learn and grow and be a better project manager, so that when the opportunity comes, you'll see it. But the people who fail at the preparation phase, when the opportunity comes, they don't see it or even don't know if it's there because they're not ready for it. John Wooden said this: when the opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. So it all starts with preparation. And being on this webinar tonight is a good thing because you've already started. And if you want to reach your goals and fulfill your potential and that of your team, you need to become more intentional about creating high-performance teams. And the secret is, it starts with you. And so let's get started going into the 4 dimensions of high-performance teams. Number 1 is the technical dimension, which really measures effectiveness. It ensures that everything is working fine, and that's where really most of project management project managers live. That's where they rent space. Some project managers live in the social dimension, where they learn how to build influence, and those are usually the ones that are more successful than the ones that live and rent space in the technical dimension. And then you have the intellectual dimension, and that's what ensures growth, ensures the growth of the person, the team members, and the team in general. And finally, we have the spiritual dimension that fosters motivation, internal and external motivation. So let's get started going through the details of this. The technical dimension. Right? The technical dimension, as I said earlier, is where most project managers live. And really, that's where they talk about budgets, that's where they talk about return on investment, spreadsheets, project plans, monitoring and control, work breakdown structures. Really, that's where most project managers live. And that's the reason the PMBOK methodology exists. Right? The other 3 dimensions, though, have more impact on the project than most project managers think. These dimensions allows you really to measure effectiveness, but it doesn't create it. Creating and measuring are not the same. And so the next dimension is what we call the social dimension. And this has to do with human relationships, right? How people are treated, communication, and leadership. Now, most people think that everyone on the team should be treated differently. That's what a lot of people want to believe, but really this is faulty thinking. We don't all value the same thing. Why should we all be treated the same? What is important to me may not be important to another. What excites me may not excite another. So as the project manager, the project leader, the important thing is to find out exactly what excites one person and what excites the other. That way you can treat them in a way that appeals to them. And I worked with a manager a few years ago that actually really had this. And my mentor, John Maxwell, has also taught me these 3 questions, and I've been using them a lot lately in terms of how I manage. And I still do project management. So I'm teaching this, I'm doing this, but I'm also hands-on project management. So I'm doing it as I do this, as I teach. And the 3 questions are really, do they trust you? Do your people trust you? And the second question is, do they know you can help them? And the third question is, do they know that you care for them? Because until your people can answer those 3 questions in a positive, then you cannot build influence with them. Those are your key questions to build influence. So that's your social dimension. Let's go to Sorry if I'm going a little fast because I do want to, keep this really short and not keep you on the line too long, but I do also want you to get something out of it. So let's keep going. The intellectual dimension. And most people, most project managers do not pay attention to this at all. Right? They leave this to the HR department in the development area. But really, this is where we talk about recognition of talent, use of talent, and then talent development. Right? Recognition, development, and the use of talent of the people in the team. I mean, think about it. How many of you as project managers usually, when you start a project or when you start a team, take an inventory of the strength of each member on your team? How about their interest? Do you know what they are interested in doing? And what if you could couple their strengths with their interests? I know it may not always be possible, but what if you could do that? How much more motivated would the team member be in producing results for you as the project manager and for the team as a whole? And so this is just really to get you thinking and start you getting you ready for the next webinars that will, the upcoming webinars in this series, because those webinars will teach you how to navigate these 4 dimensions. But really, when you ignore the intellectual dimension, it leads to excessive turnovers, adversarial cultures, and you really have more conflict, right? It's better to not have it, but of course we have conflict management training, but you don't want to have more conflict than you can handle. And really this dimension is what ensures the growth of the team. The person has a goal. I was reading an article not too long ago. It says that in order for you to have one part of the goals that you need to set for the people on your team is learning goals. When you start them on a project, also have them come up with learning goals for themselves. That way, they're not just doing something, but they're growing through it. So always making sure that the people on your team are growing, just as you are growing. And so, again, this ensures growth. So let's go to the 4th dimension of a project team. And that's the spiritual dimension. Finding meaning and purpose through the work that you're doing, right? Contribution and organizational integrity. And me personally, I love working and knowing that the end product I'm working to produce, will make an impact on somebody's life, making their lives better or help them interact with the company in a better way, help them have a better and more positive outlook, not just on their lives, but also their interaction with the company. And so I love to work on those kind of projects because they give me a sense of fulfillment, a sense that I'm doing something that matters. But really, how many times as project managers do we actually take this upon ourselves to make sure that our people understand what the work that they're doing is contributing to? Richard Barrett, who wrote the book Freeing the Corporate Soul, said from a research of about 2,500 employees that they did, and at the end the conclusion was that when employees find personal fulfillment at work, their productivity can be at least twice as high. Think about it. Twice as high as when they don't. But that's just staggering. Twice as high when they find personal fulfillment at work. So why don't more project managers pay attention to this dimension, this spiritual dimension? But again, we all may have our answers and our ideas as to why they don't. But the thing to keep in mind is that when when we don't operate within these four dimensions, then we leave a lot of things to chance. So, to be optimally effective as project managers, we must work on improving all of the four dimensions. Right? To neglect one negatively impacts the rest. And so when a project team, an organization neglects any one of those four dimensions, the creative energies that could result in tremendous positive synergy are instead used to fight against the organization. And then those negative energies become a restraining force to growth and productivity. And that's why we as the project leaders end up working more hours, because our people are not on the same page. And so, again, ignoring these will create negative force field resistance that pushes against the growth of effectiveness of the effectiveness of the team. So, if you apply those four dimensions if you apply them to your team, then you can start saying goodbye to working late hours. And then you can start saying good morning to increased influence, improved results, a better lifestyle. And so, in conclusion, right, because we're about out of time, I just hope that you now become more aware that these four dimensions exist in terms of when you're dealing with a project team, right? And so I hope what I've shared here you've not only found interesting, but given you some ideas that you can start using right away. And so this really is something I'm really excited to share with you. And my goal is to use these four dimensions and the rest of the series to help you understand how you can create this high-performance team. And some of the other webinars coming up will be Leading Without Authority, a Project Manager's Dilemma, How Great Project Leaders Inspire Performance, right? Project Planning for Project Success, Who's Got Your Back, Assembling a Team that ensures success, and then Project Management at the Speed of Trust. And frankly, I've put together a program that I'm really excited about, and I know you will really learn a lot from this program. And I have some great speakers coming to share with you as well. So it's not just going to be me, but I have other speakers who will be sharing with you as well. So I really hope you take the lessons and the things that we talk about tonight and not just start thinking about them and how you can apply them in your everyday life as a project manager, but how you can learn some more about how you can create high-performance teams. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to really thank you for being on the line. And, if you have questions or comments and you have time, I don't mind taking another 5 minutes to answer them, but I know it's about 9:35 in the U.S. And but wherever you are joining us from, if you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat box, and I'll be answering them. So, again, thank you for being on the line, and I hope you've learned from this and you'll start working things out so you can learn how to create a high-performance team. It's been a pleasure to share these things with you, and I know it will be a pleasure again to have you on future calls. thank you very much for being on. So have a good night, everybody.